So we can go ahead and get started. I think you guys all know I sent the email. Bella's been working on the maps for us and I reached out to them last week to see if we could talk about that today. So Barbara said she could. She's got some things to show us. And then I know you said you wanted to go over that one map, the lands of conservation value, after you show us what you guys have done so we can figure out the best way to do the ratings.
Yeah, I would love some input on that. But I also want to share what we have so far, correct?
Yeah, so since you're our key topic for the day,
Yes, Lord.
we can just go right into it.
Okay, I'll share with you what I have and let me try that. I'll be bouncing from one screen to another, so be patient with me. Okay, this one first. You can see my screen there.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Yep.
Oh, it's always a relief. So I wanted to just go over the maps that we had in our list to update. The first one is to update map number 7 from the Ag Enhancement Plan. As you recall, that was the map that showed a priority farmland protection areas with the red blob map surrounding the areas that are actively farmed, and also had delineated by soil type. But we wanted to add to that the Ag Protection Overlay District that the town defined in its zoning law, but I don't believe you've ever mapped that. Is that correct, Sarah?
Correct, yeah, we don't have any maps. It's just that description in the law.
Right, so we took a stab at creating a map of that, and then the resulting product will be 2 maps, one that shows the existing protection area from the ag plan, but overlays the map that the areas that are part of the strategic farmland, well, the ag protection overlay district. So let's take a look at what we've got there, because there's a couple of ways to do it and we had a question.
Okay.
Try this one first. See if I move that right over, if you can see it. Did that work?
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
It's a miracle. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit to show you when we try to select the parcels. As you might recall, the definition is parcels 7 acres or more between these streets, right? So yeah. The kind of the orange hatch mark shows the areas that are in the ag protection zone. But
right.
So we had a question about whether if a parcel is both in and out.
Yeah.
Like this one here, is it included or not? The law is not super clear about that.
Yeah, because it says 7 acres or greater in these boundaries. So
Correct.
yeah, that is a good question. So do we exclude it just because
it's only partially in?
That's your person.
I don't know. I almost feel like we would have to, because it doesn't fall inside the defined area.
So we clip it to the red line.
I mean, what does everybody else feel? I feel like.
Excuse my ignorance, but how was the red line determined? Yeah, what's the?
That is the strategic farmland protection area that was determined back during the agricultural enhancement plan creation.
It's just it was never meant to be a legal document. Right. It was always like this is the general area.
Yeah, like a targeted protection area.
And now that you've put it in your law that it's part of the law, we probably should have been more specific in the actual definition rather than making the plan a law. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I always worry about a plan becoming a law without additional tweaking, right?
Well, I mean, the plan's not a law, but now we've
Well,
created
now it
this
is.
new, well, I mean, not the plan,
But
just
the
the
plan map,
area.
the plan map is part of the law now.
Can the red line be changed?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You'd have to update the plan and have another public hearing, but it could be.
Mhm. It's, I mean, and it would not be a simple change. It would,
I understand,
yeah. We'd have to go back to the original discussion of how it was created. And have that whole discussion all over again to decide whether or not we wanted to change it.
I mean, what you can see here is that the red line is intended to encompass areas that were actively farmed, which can be seen by the aerial photos, and those are the ones in color. So it's possible this parcel isn't really farmland, so it's okay to leave it out. Otherwise, it would have been in the red line.
Well, and the wording in our agricultural protection overlay district language says parcels within. And so
Correct.
if it's
Does that
not,
mean entirely within? I mean, that would have been a nice change too.
yeah. I mean, my quick reaction is, well, it's not in it, so no. You
It's
know,
not-
first take all the parcels inside the defined area, then. You know, but I think maybe I should ask Chris Nadler to chime in.
Who's that again?
He's our town attorney, so then
Oh,
he can
yeah.
help us, you know, make a final decision.
Yeah,
So-
the thing that hangs me up is it talks about parcels, not areas, right? If it were areas, we could clip it to the red and those would be in and everything else would be out. But it says parcels.
Right, but parcels in, like, no,
Entirely in?
I mean, yes, I'm interpreting it, yes, I would,
Yeah.
but
But
I'm not the
you know
final.
you know how attorneys are. You could read it either way and anybody could argue one or the other.
But if the town attorney has told us this is how to interpret it, I'm comfortable with that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I always
I-
fall back to him when we're not sure.
I do, but someone could sue to say it's the other. You know, and
True.
without clarity, you wouldn't be
Right.
able to forestall that.
But I'd rather have it be his word than mine.
Oh, of course, yeah. At this point, and maybe they want to change it to entirely in.
Yeah, well, and that wouldn't,
portion.
that wouldn't be too difficult.
Correct.
It would
Yeah.
just be amending that law, but let me,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the question, you know, I didn't notice that you had that question until now. I think I do remember you saying that in the email, so I'm sorry I didn't ask him sooner, but I will
Well, this
ask
is
him
where
to
we
help
are.
us figure that out.
This is where we are with it. So we've kind of created this map, I think 2 ways. Let me show you the other one. That one shows, you know, shaded areas that are, there's probably actually 3 ways you could make this map. One showing parcels that are partly in. This one shows the areas that are in or out. But I think the third way would be to exclude any parcels that are partially out.
Yeah, you're right. You could do it all 3 ways.
So that's kind of where we are with that. That's our status. So I guess I'll leave it to you to kind of direct us how we want to show the legal ag protection overlay district, which of those 3 ways.
Let me ask a question before we move on this one.
Mhm.
I will ask the attorney to help us come up with the correct interpretation, but what would we want it to be?
Mhm.
Entirely within, or as long as part of it is in? Because if the answer is, we all know what it should be, you know, it could, if it needed to be up, you know, if the language in the law needed to be updated.
If part of it is in, why wouldn't all of it be in? That's my question.
Or you could say at least 50% in.
I don't even think you need that. If you have, you know, you have a corner, it's in the ag zone. Maybe you have a barn and a stable or a pigsty on it, and the
Mhm.
rest is farmland. Why wouldn't the whole thing be in? You know, it just
It's
doesn't make
basically
sense.
these parcels that you see that are outside the red line but are still in the orange hatch. These are the parcels we're talking about that are in question.
Yeah, I can see that. It just seems to me that if part of it's in there, the whole thing should be in there.
Kim, what do you think?
Thinking back to the original discussions, I think they would probably include all of it. You know, if it's part in, part out.
So as long as it's partially within, it counts. Chuck, Tom, what do you guys feel?
I don't know why we're dealing with just some arbitrary line,
Because we have to.
Yeah.
because it was made a law somehow.
Because the
was.
agricultural enhancement plan was adopted along with this map, and then the agricultural protection overlay district was defined based on that map. So we have to pick it apart and figure it out.
Yeah, if you see this language here, that's the exact language in the law. So now
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
law.
And this is critical for ag districts or for PDRs or both.
It's for the towns, the town created an ag protection overlay district. And I can't remember what the purpose of that was, but this is what
So
it's
that-
defined.
When if a large developer came in and wanted to expand sewer for the purposes of development, the town board would have to say whether or not they could for parcels that fall in this definition.
Thank you.
It would be
Thank
up to
you.
the town board, and the town board could come back and say, no, you can't.
Mhm.
That's the purpose of the law.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
So far has it become an issue.
It hasn't been tested yet.
It's 6 years.
Not 6 years, only 2.
Yeah, this one's new.
The Ag Protection Overlay District Law was passed in 2022,
Okay. These maps are from
2017, 20.
18.
No, either it could have even been 2016.
Okay.
Barbara, do you
Yeah.
remember when the Ag Enhancement Plan was created?
I can look that up, but,
I think it was
I
16,
think
and
it was
then
16.
and then we created the Ag Committee in
Yeah.
March of 2017 to implement it.
correct, 2016 was when the
And
maps
that's
were done.
the red strategic farmland protection area was created back then. But
Yep.
yes, this new overlay district was created because the Ag Committee could see encroachment into our farmland, and they wanted to know if the town board was concerned as much as they were. And they all agreed there should be a little more option for the town board to protect those areas. So that's what they came up with.
So it required a town board decision. It wasn't just a planning board. So it had to
Yeah, it's a
pick
law.
up
So,
to that level.
I mean, the Ag Committee made the recommendation that the ordinance committee take it on. The ordinance committee came up with the language, and the town board adopted it.
So if that's what's happened, it makes sense to put these properties completely in the map.
Okay, so what I'll,
And, you know, if we want to preserve farmland, which we do, I hear this well, I stopped going to town board meetings, but I heard it on a regular basis. We've got to make a change and include it, these properties. You know, how can you say to a farmer, well, only the top corner of your property is in the ag protection
yeah,
map?
you're only partially protected.
What was there was a reference to 7.5 acres to be for a parcel to be included, for these split parcels. If there was less than 7.5 acres within the red line, would they still be included?
Well,
7
that's the
acres.
question, right? Is whether you include the entire parcel or not include it, whether or not, if it doesn't fall all the way inside it.
Well, the law says that only parcels 7 acres or larger would be considered within the overlay district. So you can see these orange hatches exclude some of these smaller parcels that are smaller than 7 acres. They're not considered part of the ag protection overlay district, even if they're partially in the red line.
So why don't I ask Chris Nadler to help me understand the interpretation, and then we'll take it from there, whatever his answer is. And if his answer is, if it's partially in or out, then it's excluded, then I'll let him know that this group was interested in seeking an amendment to the law.
Yeah, you might ask him if he thought it would be wise for the town to clarify that with an amendment so that it's, crystal clear,
Yeah.
just to avoid, some kind of challenge later. even though it's not really a black and white thing, it's still a guidance for the town board, but I think to be over-inclusive makes a lot of sense if that's what it's going to be used for.
That parcel that we're talking about is in the ag protection overlay district.
Partly.
Or, no, all, totally, it looks like,
No.
It depends on how you interpret.
it's a beige.
It depends on how you interpret. We've kind of decided, it's like, should we include that? The
No.
law says
It's the beige-
parcels,
the beige area.
par-
That's
parcels, parcels
No,
seven,
no,
the law
Sorry.
says parcels 7 acres or larger that are within the red line. We decided to show the ones that are partially in, but the law isn't super clear about whether that's correct.
So that's the question.
your two designations are ag protection overlay district and the strategic farmland protection area.
Well, the protection overlay district hasn't yet been mapped. That's what we're trying to do.
Oh. Okay, well, I was just looking at that parcel that's split.
Yeah.
This, right now, the hashed area includes parcels that cross the border. That are that overlap, so that's her question is. What does LaBella, what do they do? With those parcels, so. We're trying to figure that part out, which I'll get now, there's help, but the agricultural protection overlay district's boundaries are defined by the red line. From Risser Road
No,
north.
that's the strategic farmland protection area is the red line.
No,
That's the
I
plan
wasn't-
map.
It wasn't finished.
Oh, sorry.
The ag protection overlay district is defined by the border of the strategic farmland protection area, but it doesn't go all the way down. It's Risser Road in north and then, what was it? Bob?
County Road 30 is the top boundary.
South of County Road 30, north of Rossier Road, and west of Route 21.
East. But it's those, so it's the red area. But those roads, so it's smaller than the entire strategic farmland protection area, but it does not go beyond it.
Right.
But the parcels do. Because the areas weren't defined based on parcels, but the language defines it based on parcels, so. I think we're not gonna figure it
So
out,
you got a conflict there.
yeah, so we'll, knowing what you guys, I mean, you two didn't actually tell me what your purpose.
No, I'm still thinking. That's why I try to analyze between the ag protection overlay and the strategic. And it appears it's not that many cases, and I think. The way to solve it is just say if you're within the strategic farmland protection area, that entire parcel is,
That would be
Part of
my interpretation.
yeah. Because that would essentially, by doing it verbally or in writing, you're moving that red line out to include the entire parcel, but you don't have to actually move the line physically through a change of law. All that.
Well, I
So-
just need clarification.
The hatch, what you've described is the way we show it here. The red line isn't changing because that's what's published in the plan. But the overlay district, and I think this is what I'm hearing, should include any parcel that's at least partially within the red that falls within the boundaries described by the law between these roads. So it's basically what we've presented here as a proposed depiction of the ag protection overlay district, these orange hatches. And
I
that's
think
what we wanted to clarify with the attorney.
this would interpret it that way.
Yeah,
All right, well, so I'll take it to Chris, I'll make sure he understands. What we believe the intent was, and then we'll figure out. If we need to do anything differently, or if he's comfortable with it the way it is.
I'm going to send you this as a PDF because this is what we think it should be.
Okay.
Great. So that's the first one. The second map we prepared shows,
have to.
There's several.
so there's 2 new maps showing preserved land. One is the agricultural preserved land, preserved farmland. So there's some newly preserved farmland that we wanted to show, and that's what this map updates. So we show here I'll zoom in a little bit, we can scroll, but there's some new preserved farmland that weren't included in the previous plan, so we've updated to include those.
I like that you differentiated the
You can identify the farms there.
projects. That's nice.
Yep, I like that too.
So this is what this map looks like, and we did show, you know, if the parcels were partly outside, just for informational purposes, that what's in the town of Canandaigua is part of a larger farm that's preserved. And I think, yeah, there's a couple down at the south end.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send you this map. I think we're satisfied with this one, unless you see something, or, you know, when you get a chance to look at it more, you know, let us know, but I think
Well,
that one's ready.
It could be just on the screen, but for
Mhm.
for us, that hashed Paddleford Brook Greenway
Yeah.
might be a bit dark or dense. It changes the colors a little bit on the parcels.
Okay, less prominent shading or something. I'll have our cartographer, I'll
Or-
work on that.
Or an outline or something.
Yeah, okay.
Our version of this map, I believe, also has the strategic farmland protection area on it.
Just as an outline.
Well, maybe I'm not looking at yours. I might be looking at, I'm looking at the one Eric made for the comp plan, but I thought he used your map to make it. Maybe he didn't.
Yeah, I like to show the preserved land as its own map. And this is how it was in the plan, because it's just one thing we want to show.
Yeah, well, then I don't know if we need the greenway.
It's because I guess the greenway is like quasi-preserved. That's why it's shown.
Oh, yeah, I see.
This goes back to what, you know, the original map shows, just with updated parcels. So
Right, yeah.
What map number is this, Barb?
I don't think we have it.
We do. It's in the agricultural enhancement plan.
it's map number 4 from the Ag Enhancement Plan.
It may not be one of the ones,
It's not the NRI.
this one is from the comp plan, which is the same. Eric had kind of remade the maps,
Hmm.
but it's the same
It's
idea.
kind of interpreting it. So the other, but I made a note of the hatching, make that less prominent so it doesn't detract.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
The other map is updating NRI map number 14 with the additional preserved and protected land. And this is not just farmland, but also the FLT Vista Preserve and recently acquired town-owned land. So this is, oops, that's not it. Let me get the right one. Find that map. Here it is, I think. Yep, there we go. So this shows the protected farmland as all one color. I'll zoom in so you can see the legend a little more. I'll send this to you and you can peruse it, but you know, we've added probably the same comment on the Paddleford Brook, but
Yeah.
we've added some of the newly preserved town-owned land.
Yeah, parks,
HOA.
yeah.
This is the FLT Finger Lakes Land Trust, right?
Yep. Up in our expanded park. And that one down at the bottom, that new one is the Shaw property, I think. From the land trust,
The purple, brown,
the brown, I think.
brown.
Oh, yeah,
It's.
check the,
Oh, that's yours. I'm sorry, the other purple one.
it's a private easement, this, yep. And then the,
Thanks, Tom.
That's my brother's property.
Yeah, because it has a private easement on it. Yeah,
Can't read this.
yeah. I like to see the updates. Those are good.
and so
What do you
this map is, you know, a reference map showing all the land in the town is preserved one way or another. We also included lands that are getting forest tax exemptions. Those two. So I'll send this over to you to take a closer look.
Right.
Is it on the lakeside still DEC or?
Yes,
It
So it is?
yes, it still is owned by the DEC.
How long is that?
It's been years.
Why?
I thought
I have
it
no
was.
idea.
I thought the town picked that up.
Well, we tried to.
We've been paying
Oh.
for its
No, really?
maintenance
No,
forever.
I don't think it fell through. I
No,
think
it's-
it just fell by the wayside.
Okay, so it's still, okay.
It's still owned by the DEC.
Green is green. Okay. Yep.
Anything else on this map?
I don't think so.
It's nice to see all the other things put on.
Yeah, and I like that it explains what the differences
What
are.
they are.
It's very impressive what you've accomplished.
Oh, well, we can't
Well,
take credit. Some of this
It's
was.
stuff. No, we haven't done any PDRs.
Well, it's impressive nonetheless. So I'll run through the parcel rating. We haven't really started this. Got to kind of wrap our heads around how we want to update the parcel rating that was done previously. So I'm going to walk through with you how we did it before. And this is again from the Ag Plan in 2016. We created a series of parcel rating map using a universe of parcels that were agricultural, and we based that on the aerial photos. They looked like they had farms on them and active farmland. The active farmland means land cover, like fields, pasture, and that's what the dotted lines show. The dots show, the dotted hatching shows the actual farmland cover. And again, this is from 2016. And then we created a universe of parcels that had a certain threshold number of acres of farmland in it. And we created a rating system to show the highest quality soils. And we based it largely on USDA soil classification for farmland, prime soils, soils of statewide importance, prime if drained, and other. We multiplied those factors by the number of acres of farmland with that soil type within each parcel. So it ended up with the parcels that are the largest and had the most farmland getting the highest ranking. But we also created a spreadsheet so that you could look up any parcel and see how it ranked.
Right.
This is the first category, which is agricultural soil strictly. The second category was a natural resources rating. So we used whether it was within 100 feet of Canandaigua Lake. That's not, well, it might be shown on the map, but it's just a small line. Whether it's in the Canandaigua Lake watershed, and that's the yellow hatching. Whether it's near a stream, so we've mapped the streams. You can kind of see the wide blue lines. That means it's a stream, or whether it's within 200 feet of a DEC regulated wetland. And this is what we ranked the parcels by their natural resource value. Again, multiply it by the metric. So if it was on the Canandaigua Lake shoreline, it got a bonus of 100. If it was in the watershed, it got a bonus of 50. If it was within 200 feet of a stream, it got a bonus of 50. And if it was in 200 feet of a wetland, it got a bonus of 50. I think what we wanted to do with this update was try to capture some parcels that might not have had, large areas, or might have other attributes that we want to show as important. And that weren't farms. This was strictly farmland. And also at that time, when New York State was doing their PDR, they used these factors, and they don't even use them anymore. So it's, that purpose is no longer, relevant. So we can update this map with a new purpose. And I guess I'd like to get your thoughts on that. And just before we stop on that, I'll just show you the other map that we made was how close it was to protected land. And we can certainly update that with our new map of protected parcels. Well, this is protected farmland. And those are the three things that and then development pressure we used, which they don't use that in the PDR competitiveness either. So I don't think that's really relevant anymore either. So I think I'm going to pause on the natural resources factors and I'm not going to keep sharing the map, I think, because I'd like to hear what you want to accomplish to give us some. And I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Well, I'm going to go back to the, yeah, I think I need a little more guidance on what you want to accomplish with the map of, yeah, how we want to capture some of the natural resource value.
Did you say it was based on soils types first?
Well, we made different categories. We didn't combine them. We kept them separate so that you could look at each individually. They weren't cumulative. They were separate. So
And they were separate and then aggregated to find the final.
No, we never aggregated them, but we just kept them separate, I think.
Then how did it go in to make the lands of conservation value map, the one map?
Let me. Yeah, I might have gone back too far, Sarah. Wait, let me pause and get that. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment.
Okay.
And maybe you can give an update on what your thoughts were for what we want to accomplish with this while I pull up the land of conservation value.
So when this group originally started talking about the map, you guys can jump in or correct me wherever I get it wrong. Yeah, it was a while.
Trying to remember why we did it.
Well, because my own reason was that the map ignored smaller parcels
Smaller
with
parcels.
high ecological value.
Which I think you mentioned, yeah.
So my biggest example was, all the parcels along Wells Curtis Road on the south side border Menteith Creek, none of them show up as a high value on the lands of conservation value map. And in my opinion, they should, as should any parcel that borders a stream. And it didn't talk about forested land having a high value. And as we know, ecologically speaking, forested land has a higher value than farmland, much higher. So I felt like the map was great, but not entirely honest if we're talking about natural resources, not just farmland and big, which I know I keep harping on this. I don't want to replace this map. I just think we need another version that tells a different story. Depending on what the focus is. Now, if it's true lands of conservation value, yeah, it's, are we, and I remember, Barbara, you told us this map and I don't remember if you used this phrasing, but it's how I remembered it. It's the biggest bang for your buck. If you're looking for parcels to protect and you want to protect the largest number of acres in one go, this is probably a good, your map, just the way it is today without changing it. But if we also want to consider, statistically speaking, just lands that are important for water quality protection, habitat protection, wildlife corridors, which we don't even talk about in the conservation value map. And I just keep going back to water, then I feel like this would look a lot different. It would be more oriented towards the features themselves. I mean, we would see a lot of dark blue along all of our stream corridors, the front of the lake. None of the parcels along the lake show up because they're too small.
the big thing is Menteith Creek.
Yeah,
All of the parcels along
and
Menteith
Barnes
Creek
Gully.
should show on there because Menteith Creek is the only creek that is not regulated by the DEC. The owners own to the middle of the creek. They own to the middle of that waterfall. That all of that property
Well, that's true
should
on
show
all these
on
other
that.
ones too.
What?
That's true on all of
Yeah, I
our
own
tributaries.
the middle of Titchener. Titchener Gully. It's not, I don't think it's as big as Monteith.
Well, the
Yeah,
big thing
Menteith
is
is a
the Menteith
size-
Creek
good flowing
is a
stream.
major creek on the lake. And I don't, is there any property at all on Menteith Creek showing on there?
Only in yellow and green, the two bottom rungs of value. Well, on the south side, yes, but I'm focused on the smaller parcels that should also look
Yeah.
like that.
Would it benefit
shows
to
it
take our
a little better.
NRI, all the features in the NRI maps?
They all back, here's the cricket.
Each one of those would be a parameter and rate them.
I'm assuming
In terms
that's-
of what
Yeah, all
has the
these,
most
all
value,
these
So
skinny
then
lots.
apply
So
them
this is
and
Russ's
put them on
property
a map,
right here.
sort of
But all of these, this is the old Payne property.
encompasses everything.
It's
I
owned
think
by
this is
somebody else.
kind of what it would be.
When I
like.
look
all
at
these
an
properties-
application, site plan or subdivision,
Shades of
I have to
church.
go through every NRI map and, okay, yeah.
They should
there's
all
wetlands.
show.
Yeah, there is forest, there is a wetland. If you had a map that you could look at it,
Including These
Thing-
down
and it
here.
would have a
that,
priority, you could just say, whoa, this is a high priority.
That's what I'm
Sarah.
hoping for. And Barbara, I know you're kind of listening.
Oh,
I
I am.
think, and you can correct me, but I think our biggest concern with this map might have to do with the size issue.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Maybe also, maybe we, like Chuck said, maybe we need to look and make sure all of our NRI features are at least
Considered.
considered in this map, but I do wonder, you know, if you just remove the weighting for the size of the parcel so that larger parcels are not automatically seen as more valuable, I think the map would look much different. But to Chuck's point, leaning more towards our natural resources inventory maps, like I don't want to take away the importance of the soil types.
Well,
But-
that's for farmland specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
hopefully
still
the tax
valuable.
committee looks at that.
And it's still a conservation value, so. But yeah, I mean, I think removing any preference for size would. I think, get it more towards what this group is looking for.
I think, I'm not sure how you would show it programmatically in the map, but if you have, you know, like some very high value stuff, so you got your stream and maybe you have like a forested area, but then there's like low value in between them. It's not really a low value, because those really should be connected as a higher value, because wildlife's gonna move.
Correct,
In that way.
especially if it's within one parcel
Correct.
or within one smaller area. I don't know, Barbara, are we making sense?
Yes, and I finally have the reference here that we wanted to look at. So I think, you know, parcel list.
So I mean, McJanet was a small area, but it's kind of in that like crossroads between Ananda and Vista.
Yes, and the parcel that we expanded to next to McJanet, in my opinion, is extremely high value because it has a really steep gully and it's completely forested.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get the map so busy that you have a parcel with 3 different.
Yes, I don't think we would wanna map it
So
based on
either-
land cover. I think just the
Either all or
value,
nothing.
like this. I mean, and the same
Yes,
kind of color
exactly.
scheme would even work, fine, because then we could have, you know, people would understand, well, these maps are similar, they just tell a slightly different
You
story.
could have them side by side and, you know.
Yeah,
see that
I mean, I
different
imagine I
story.
already kind of know what it's going to look like. You know, a lot of our, we have other maps that have these features shown.
Like the streams.
It'll be
is on-
oriented, I mean, if, in my mind, I feel like it'd probably be oriented towards our stream corridors. And then potentially also with land cover for high value land cover. So that this part of the town is going to be darker. This part will be lighter.
Mhm.
And Barb said we're not held to the old rating system, so we can come up with our own
True.
rating.
Yeah,
system.
Yeah, that was the whole point, was to.
That's what we're trying to do here. So, I pulled up the rating from, and this is from the open space plan. And yes, it doesn't capture any of the small parcels. So I think, but it does. And so I have two screens I'm going to toggle here. So this is the map that shows all of the parcels. And as you can see, the larger parcels get the highest rating. And if I show you the spreadsheet for these highest ranked parcels, you can see it has a lot of forest land. You know, it got all of this forest times 50, the number of acres times 50. It has steep slopes, has streams, has lake views. That's how
So it has
ranks.
all these
it
NRI
ranks so high.
features.
Right. So that, you know, it does have a lot of value, but, you know, I don't think you're questioning that it has a lot of value. We just want to make sure that we're not losing some small parcels that also have value. So what I think the direction that we want to go is to find a way to like add like a bonus that's even bigger to boost those smaller parcels so they show up on the map.
Can't we just remove any weighting for size?
Does that make sense though? I mean, you don't think these are more important because they have lots of trees? I mean, if you just had 5 trees, it wouldn't be as valuable.
But we're
I'm
looking-
not saying removing weighting for the natural resources value. I'm saying removing any weighting that favors larger parcels. So we're truly looking at the land, not
Well,
size.
well, do we say that any sliver of forest gives it the same as 50 acres?
Depending on but I don't think we're comparing parcels. I think we're just looking at the land itself. Like, so Barbara, I was just looking at our wildlife corridor map that you folks made us for our open space plan.
Mhm, mhm.
I imagined a map created just to show lands that are highly ecologically valuable, habitat, corridors, streams, watershed, etc. Would look kind of like that map.
Well, I guess it
Unless
depends.
I might
Well-
just be I might be missing what you're trying to tell me.
Well, you know, I don't know if a parcel, I guess it depends if you want to look at the town and areas, and we do have those maps. Those are all of the resource maps that go into this parcel rating. So I guess it depends if you really want to zero in on what's in each parcel, or if you just want to show the resources, which we already show on a series of reference maps.
I think it would be helpful for, like Chuck pointed out, so for in the example, the planning board or the environmental conservation board, when we get a project in for review, I think it would be helpful for those boards to know at a glance, you know, does this parcel contain features that are important? I mean, remember, we're not getting rid of the lands of conservation value map. We have that, we will retain that. This is just a different version. So I
Okay.
don't think that the new map detracts from your top rating parcels on the lands of conservation value map.
Okay, so we don't have to change this map. We're just going to
No.
supplement it with another one.
I never wanted you to change this map.
Oh,
wanna keep
I
it.
think I misunderstood
We want an additional new version.
with a couple of extra stars on it or something.
No, a second version that's not weighted for parcel size. And then whatever else we all agree would make it show the information that we're looking for with your guidance.
You have a series of maps that show wetlands, lake views. You have all of those reference map that shows those things.
Yeah, but the lands of conservation value maps put it all together. We want that. We just want
Well,
it
this map shows it all together by parcel,
size wise.
by parcel period. There's a spreadsheet
Yes.
that says for each parcel, how many acres of all these things are there. And
But
whether it
didn't
has
you
this or
tell
that.
me- Didn't you tell me when you created it that the largest parcels,
They get the highest rating, but every parcel's in the database
but why do they get the highest rating?
because they have a big forest on them.
Can't we just do it purely on what's on it, not how much it is?
Doesn't it matter if you have 2 acres of forest versus 80?
Sure, but doesn't it matter if you have 2 acres of forest on your land?
Well, that's where you look at the maps of forest.
Yeah, but I think. Look at the lands of conservation value map. There are so many parcels that are along sensitive, stream corridors. They're white.
But
So this map says they're not even valuable at all.
ultimately, How
Okay,
much- how
we
much?
did make a universe of, we did have a minimum size with this map.
And then there's many others that are yellow, like this map tells me that those parcels have no conservation value, and that's not true.
Okay,
So
let's
you
take-
don't want to throw this map out, but you
No,
don't.
no, not at all.
Okay, we're gonna keep this map. We're gonna
let's-
make a new map. It's gonna be called something else.
Yes, it can be called whatever we all think it should be
Okay.
called, but I feel like this map is misleading. That's what my beef has been with it the whole time.
Okay, let's take the example, all those lots that back up on Wells Curtis Road, that back up. to the
Yeah, I
creek.
mean, I keep using that as
What
an
would be
example.
the impact of us identifying them? They're not gonna be subdivided, they're all way too small. They're not going to
They
be
could be
turned
subdivided.
into concrete jungles. In other words, what more can we control of those already teeny lots that are snaking down to the creek?
Knowledge, information. Also, we're
Well-
supposed to be using this map when we look at things that have potential for protection, whether it's the planning board saying, hey, you have a stream corridor back there.
What can we do though? What,
I don't
Let-
see a reason why we shouldn't do it. Not why we should, but why shouldn't we?
Do
what can we do? What more can we do with? How,
Why would they come to the planning board?
yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
I guess that's what I'm saying.
It would be a-
Chuck's lot that backs up, he's not gonna do anything else, he's not gonna subdivide it, he's not gonna turn it into a commercial endeavor, he's not gonna.
I could knock my house down, make a bigger house.
Let me give you an
That's about it.
example. Okay, Russ's property is 17.5 acres. It includes, it goes up to the middle of the waterfall and it goes along Menteith Creek. 17.5 acres. He's been offered a sum of money from a man whose ultimate goal is to subdivide it.
And on this map, it's not dark blue.
Okay, that was my.
On this
And it
map,
should
yeah,
be.
it should be. And on the other side of that waterfall, of course, is a very wealthy man who built a very expensive house. I know because my company helped build it. But the remainder on the other side, a big parcel of that belonged to Mrs. Payne and her estate, and that was bought up. So that too is wooded along the creek and could potentially be subdivided.
Whatever we designate it, what muscle do we have that tells those people what to do with their
Well,
property?
I'll tell you the muscle, right now you have me, I'm not gonna let anybody buy
No,
it and
but
subdivide it. Yeah.
let our ultimate goal, tell me, we can identify parcels, but what is our hammer? It's
That's not what-
telling
I
people what they
think
can
the
do with
goal
Russ's
is-
property.
No,
Or
that's
not.
not my purpose at all, is to tell
Okay.
people what they're allowed to do with their property.
Okay, we've
It's
identified it as
information and
valuable.
knowledge, yes.
So what?
So,
I have an example. So we had a 5 acre parcel up in AR2, it's in the middle of farmland, but it's part of probably it's more like 10 or 12 acres of forested land. It's healthy, it's mature forest, and on the 5 acre parcel, the planning board reviewed an application that would have cut down most of the trees for a large barn that would hold a commercial business. There was this big paved driveway, and there would be a house with septic in the back, so a large portion of that would all get taken down. And in my opinion, that's an ecologically important parcel. And there's not a lot of wooded parcels in that whole area. So, but that would be a communication tool to like the planning board or the ECB. I'm seeing that map would be.
Yeah,
let's
well,
say
and then
somebody
you
goes
asked
to
me a
Chuck.
question and I want
Okay,
to have a
okay,
chance to answer it.
Please.
And I know, we talked about this a long time ago,
Yeah.
so some of these points are forgotten. Remember, these maps are planning tools also, but they can also be used to help people obtain money to protect their land. And this isn't just us telling people what to do. This information can be useful from the landowner's perspective. If the town has a map that says their land is valuable and maybe them and some of their neighbors are interested in placing a private, some sort of an easement on their land to protect it. So that, someone who comes to tear down the house can't build closer to the stream in the future. Or maybe this information could be used by the zoning board to prevent additional variances being granted. This is information, knowledge. I'm not interested in telling people what they're allowed to do on their land. I'm interested in making sure that everybody understands why it's important to leave that stuff there in the first place. And I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want more maps to provide this kind
It's
of information.
Informational, but going to Kim's example,
What the boards choose to do with this knowledge is up to them. For me, I just want the information to be
To be
there. And right
available.
now, it's not. This
Okay.
map doesn't do that at all.
it's informational,
map
but it's
serves a
got no
different purpose.
enforcement.
This
So,
map is so the
the
board
guy-
can help buy large chunks or protect it, what have you. But again, this is only looking at large ones, the biggest bang for your buck. It's ignoring all of these that are forested and along the streams. And yes, we do have this map, but it's not a rating map. I still love the idea of the rating. I'm just gonna keep saying it over and over and over again. I don't like that it ignores smaller parcels and it looks at, they should show up. They just should. They would.
What threshold is a minimum for, say, forest on a parcel? At least blank metric.
You mean per parcel?
Yeah, if we were going to give it one tick mark for having a forest, what would be the size of the forest for that tick mark?
I don't know, maybe it's a percentage.
What if it's a 1 acre parcel and it has 5% forest? It's like a tree. For some of them, it makes sense to have any, like along a stream.
Yeah,
But for forest, I think it should be a minimum number of acres to count as a forest.
well, would we do it the same for, well, I don't know, we couldn't do minimum number of acres. It would have to be a percentage of the parcel.
To, no, to
Yeah, 5
qualify,
acres is part of
to
the
qualify.
bigger-
When we do a, when
I was
we do,
gonna say,
when we do a GIS, we just you could have a tiny sliver that counts, but we can't count that. We have to have a threshold. Is it an acre?
And you're talking about based on the parcel itself, not just the
Yes,
area. Yeah, so I
per
understand
parcel,
why,
per
yeah,
parcel.
why you need that. And you would be doing this for all of the natural resource features that we're looking at.
We have the data per parcel. We've calculated the number of acres in each ecological community and steep slopes and lake views. We've calculated the number of acres. So if we make that a yes, no, we still want to say a minimum number for the forest.
is there a way to wait if it's next to another parcel that has forested?
Yes, but
Yeah, because then
we're getting a little fancy there. I
no,
mean,
that's like wildlife corridors.
mhm.
Or connected forested areas that span across multiple parcels?
I mean,
So she's
I
looking
like
for
the
a
idea of
percentage.
having a map that highlights, area parcels that have value. I'd rather have it as clean as possible, like a yes, no. And
Is
then
the
you can
problem
say,
here that it's a parcel rating rather than an area?
Yeah. I mean, why are we
Remove-
getting why do we need that? Or do you need to just show areas more clearly? Like,
Remove
We
remove the parcel
remove
designation.
the parcel issue here and just do it more as a, lands of conservation value, but it's just shown. And if the parcel falls in one of those lands, that might be helpful for the boards.
I mean, that's what the NRI does, the NRI doesn't have this land, the NRI really, he's like, here's all the resources. You have to look at the
There's-
parcel for every resource.
Yeah, but there's not a map that shows it all.
It would be a messy map. That's like a series of overlays, you know?
Not with every color being different. I mean, it
Or
could
you-
be,
Or you rate it based on, you got no ratings.
I guess, yeah. I see what you're saying, Barbara. You need to know what to tell this GIS system to do.
If we wanted, and I guess, how are you going to use it, right? So we do need to know how you're going to use it. You know, you're correct that this parse, it's a bit of a misnomer. Maybe priorities for protection, you know, might have been better, you know, large scale protection even. You know,
Oh, you
want it,
said, how are we gonna use it? This
Yeah.
group was interested in using the new map and the spreadsheet that went with it to help us understand which landowners might want to learn more about, you know, land protection. We made a brochure and a flyer and we would like to mail it out, but we don't know who to mail it out to. We were hoping this map would give us, you know, we could say, well, we'll mail it to everybody who has whatever the score or the acreage, whatever, you know. I mean, you're right. Someone who has 1 acre is not gonna be interested in getting a conservation easement from a land trust, but, you know, someone with 5 acres might still be interested to know that their land is ecologically valuable. Maybe they don't know. Maybe it's not even something that they're considering. Maybe they want to, you know, cut most of it down and have a better view of the lake. Maybe having this knowledge would make them think twice.
Mhm.
I don't know, again, going to Kim's example, the guy with the 5 acres. No matter how we identify it, designate it, he can do what he damn well pleases.
No, they denied it.
On what basis?
Planning board did.
Well, I think he withdrew it. He saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
denied.
How-
You know, you
how-
actually
on
denied
what-
it.
On what basis can we do that?
Maybe we did
AR
deny it,
two?
that's right.
Was it AR two? You see, Archie?
He wanted a construction business, so it was especially, it was not
A zone issue.
it was not a permitted use, it was especially permitted
Okay.
use.
Hammered and want the,
I mean, he could come
Natural
back and build a
resources.
house, cut trees down. build
Yeah,
a house.
yeah,
That
woods.
probably would not be a denied, but
He had everything for one plan, so it was kind of an all or nothing.
no, I mean, like in the future, if he
Yeah,
came
in the
back, it probably
future,
couldn't be
yeah.
denied.
a lot of impervious.
He was
Clear cutting
using
trees.
well water and where, for the business where it wasn't a good aquifer, because we have somebody on the ECB.
It was a wetland, it
That
was
lives
a
in it,
wildlife
so.
corridor and yeah.
Yeah.
He checked about 5 or 6 NRI features. He was abusing. Not to mention the use.
So what percentage
Well,
of
the
land
use was
constitutes
a
a
kicker, I
forest?
think, more so than.
It's not how it's defined.
Wouldn't it be number of acres who constitutes a forest?
I mean, we take a lot of liberties with those and
Well, that's okay.
it works.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this
We
particular
tried
one
certainly.
isn't that
those
large.
Shoreline
I think
guidelines.
overall it's,
Remember how big it was?
Yeah.
well, it spans a
We can't
couple of
tell.
different parcels, 'cause
No.
there's that
Yes.
5 acre. There's
Still
probably
close to
another
the
5 or 6
lake.
acre
The
next
last thing
to
I
it.
said to
And
him,
you have
whatever you do,
Rita's,
don't paint it
which
like you painted it lake.
she's gonna have like 8 to 10, but that's it. So it's. But I think it's important because I know she talks about it's got freshwater pools, so there's habitat for amphibians,
Which can occur in a really small size.
which can occur in a really small size. And they're not very common. She said she's seen bobcat tracks and all manner of things in the land around her, that forested area.
Heck, my backyard could be a wildlife corridor.
Barbara, you mentioned like an acre and yes, 1 acre of isolated forest is good. But it's better if there's others nearby. Is there a way to, like what Kim said, is there a way to take that into consideration, the connectivity piece?
I mean, all of those things are really important to look at when you get into looking at parcels. But I guess, why do we need to I mean, I'm looking at our parcel rating and, you know, I just went to the very bottom of the list. You know, we had a minimum of, you know, I've got a parcel with 8.8 acres of silver maker ash forest. And it got a low rating because that's all it had. You know, it didn't really multiply by anything.
Well, that ash is all dead by now.
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
still,
Yeah.
which has a lot of life.
Yeah.
I mean, when we did the natural resource inventory, we really, you know, tried to give the conservation board some guidance as to how to review any parcel, you know, with a list of questions and what to look at in a series of maps. I don't know if there's a shortcut to that that combines everything into one, you know, box that you could just say, this is all the things on there.
And again, this is a tool for the ECB and the planning board,
That's not the only purpose. That would be
Yeah,
one use
but
of
it's,
the
but
map.
it's truly lets you focus in on what's there and what we would rather not have done.
Barbara, would it be better if it's not about which type of forest? It's just, you know, is it present? Yes or no? Is there a stream? Yes or no?
Yeah, that's where I was going with how much forest is a yes. Is it 1 acre? Can we
Right.
say that?
I mean, yeah, you could just do it as 1 acre and see see if the map is useful.
Yeah,
I know some of this is hard to understand until you actually see it.
yeah. So let's just say, let's say, what do we want to show on this map? And then you can have a GIS where you can click and find out what's in it, right? So one acre or more of forest cover, stream present, you know,
Steep
stream bank.
Slopes,
What threshold of steep slope?
Our code has different.
No,
we
I
have
mean,
lots.
what size?
Oh, you mean how much
Quarter
area?
acre, a quarter acre of steep slope, a half acre, 1 acre?
I guess I don't think of it like that.
Right, but the GIS does.
Yes, it does. Barbara, you do this all the time. What would you recommend?
I would have to set a threshold. What's a meaningful threshold? If you looked at a parcel that had it was like the tiniest corner that you can't even measure has a steep slope, we don't want to count that.
Yeah, you're right. Or like my house where I have 13 acres of steep slopes.
Right, so is it a half acre?
I feel like I'm not qualified to give you that answer.
a lot could be a third of an acre.
I think it would weight higher if it has a stream or a gully on it.
Yeah, well, that's it. You combine all these.
But it spills to a stream eventually, even if it doesn't.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if there is a stream running,
But
With
weeds,
those
man,
steep
we are in
slopes.
them.
You know, with woods,
yeah.
now you're getting to a hot lot.
Yeah,
That has a lot of value.
The hot lot. I haven't
Hot
heard
lot.
that one before,
I like
Chuck.
that
That's a
one.
good one.
that's what we should name our map.
It's a lot running high.
Oh, my goodness.
But we could run this on the parcels, you know, with presence of these yes or no. I mean, when we run it, we'll have all the values.
That
Yeah,
would be helpful, yes or no, because then we
But
at least
yes.
know which maps to look at.
But I need a threshold for yes, no, I still need a threshold.
yeah, she's gotta tell the map what to calculate.
How many acres is a yes? Or what fraction of an acre is a yes? Not
Or-
0.1.
And if you do any, like
You
she
have
said, it
15%
would
or
all
more
be
steep slopes in a lot, yes or no? You don't have to say how many acres it is.
Well, that's how we figure out whether it has a steep slope or
has
not.
to based on this.
Oh, that's how you figured out, yeah.
Well, yeah, they've gotta tell the system how to answer the question. Yes, how do I know, you know, at what point does this parcel become a yes?
Not 0.01 acres.
What did we use to determine the NRI map for steep slopes?
We sorted for parcels. that were 1 acre or larger.
Okay. Parcels 1 acre.
Yeah,
Well, if you used that for steep slope map, wouldn't you use it for this map?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
but what makes a yes for steep slope? Can we say a 1/4 acre, half acre, or 1 acre? Which would be best?
is it on the NRI steep slopes map? Yes or no?
Well, if you cookie cutter a parcel on the steep slope maps, and a tiny corner of that is in the steep slope, how
Yeah.
tiny a corner should count as a yes?
We can determine that when we review the plan.
Oh, you really want to look at it if it's a 0.01 and waste your time?
Why don't we-
Well, if an applicant comes in with an application
I think I used
and
to
he's
have an
checked
acre.
off there are steep
Just trying to
slopes,
my
even though
terms of, like,
it's,
how big
you
my
know, 0.1
backyard is,
acres.
what would that look
we will then
Half
look at the
of
maps
it
of where your
is
steep slopes and how steep are they, and do they affect your development? If they don't, then you don't worry about it.
Mind it.
But you'd have that information anyways.
Then you could use 10%.
Barbara, what if we tried with a half acre?
Okay,
I know you gotta have a number,
yeah. And then,
the way the GIS system works. Just
Well, that's why he has to have this, the original map is determined. I don't think we're gonna go in and start changing the steep slope NRI map.
no,
No, that's not what we're
no,
asking.
it's the parcel selection that we're trying to fine tune here.
lost. There we go.
We're gonna come up with a new rating system, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a yes, no.
That'll be the challenge, but based on NRI features, we'll have to determine which has higher priority than others. And then rate those lots accordingly, or rate the parcels accordingly.
Or we might show a parcel that has more than one.
Well, yeah, well, then it's getting closer to a odd lot. If it has 1, 2, or 3 NRI
Yeah.
features.
I mean, maybe that's the rating system now.
Actually, that's not.
That isn't a bad idea, yeah. Does it have it, yes or no? If it, and then, you know, based on the acreage, you tell the GIS to consider. And then, yes, if there's more than one type of feature that's
That increases. the parcel
ecologically
rate.
valuable,
Yeah.
it would be more important. Does that make, what do you think, Barbara?
I think we're getting somewhere. We're not
We are
capturing
too.
we're not capturing ephemeral ponds, but I don't think you can map those.
We use it, though.
No,
No,
You
Well,
can't
that's
force
it.
it.
We're cursed or blessed with so many criteria. You know, we're not
You can-
Kansas.
we
where
can
the
say
whole
you-
state
you get
looks
a
like
very
everything.
high rated
Yeah.
parcel here.
Round.
Aren't you lucky? And the guy says, I don't care, I'm gonna build on it, my setbacks are fine, and my building height is fine. I mean,
That's what we,
it's challenging, oh, you're taking a tree down, you gotta put another tree back. For the most part, people will do that, nobody's really pushed back too much, and
you get into the individual property rights and taking and we'll have one of those suits one of these days.
that happened a lot with floodplains. When floodplains were overlaid on properties, you're taking my land without compensating me, I can't build in that area, never floods.
what's new?
I've been through a couple of lawsuits.
And the flood plains are, their maps are changing as you
They're
know.
changing, you know, hopefully for the better. Yep. Anyway,
We had in our last rating system whether it had a vista from the lake also, and
yeah,
whether it was a wetland or flood zone.
I think Vista's important since we have the scenic
The-
shed overlay.
the Vista has become law.
Yeah,
That became part of the scenic overlay.
yeah,
I mean, that map, we used a lot, referred to a lot. Sometimes there's arguments over, are you in or am I out?
Yeah.
You
I
can't
guess
see the
that-
lake from where I am, why am I? Anyway, we use that's gospel, we use that, it's good, gives us something definitive.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lands of conservation value, that, box down at the bottom.
Mhm.
And yeah, I wouldn't see a reason to remove, wetlands.
We'll
Uh,
keep all those features, just a yes, yes, yes. Do we want to combine forest to all forest, or maybe?
You mean like, do you want to consider it separately for different types of forests? I don't.
Well,
think we
there's the
have to.
success, okay, just any woodland, whether it's successional or mature.
Correct.
Okay,
It's easiest.
We'll never
Because
get
you can-
mature forests if we cut the successional woodlands
you can
down.
always, like when you are looking at a parcel, you can look in detail about the specific features that are on the parcel once you start to get to that point. But this is supposed to give you an overall, here are some parcels with value.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think we need to differentiate between types of forest cover.
I
Woodland.
like that we're getting kind of a quick kind of shortcut to parcels with value, and then you can see, then you can look at each parcel and see what they're actually got going for them without
Right, 'cause-
leaving so many out. I think this is getting closer to what you're aiming for, Sarah.
I think so too, Barbara, and I think you forcing us to pull this apart is how we're getting there. So thank you.
Well, this is good timing on the check-in meeting, because I was kind of puzzling how to do this, and I think we were communicating a common path forward now.
Yeah, well, and as you point out, we have the detailed land cover maps. This
Mhm.
is not what, and this map isn't supposed to be that, so.
Yeah, we can't composite everything into one map because it would be impossible to interpret, so, but a parcel map that like get kind of triggers, this is what you look for on each one. That's a kind of a simple tool to point you in the direction of getting the information you need.
Very good.
That's what we'll do. We're going to run the calculations so that we have the information that went into that maybe misnamed land of conservation value, which had in the spreadsheet, the tables for each type of land cover, whether it's, land, the areas of steep slope, how much of the parcels in a vista, whether it's next to a stream, how much of the stream is there. So you'll still have that,
Yeah, I
but
think
the map
that's
won't
useful.
show it except for a yes and no.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's okay. I think having that data tied to that, having the table tied to that map would be, oh, thank you, Chuck, would be still very useful.
Yeah, and you'll have the parcel information to, pull up. But the map can stand on its own as kind of a quick guide for parcel.
So would we have different colors depending on how many boxes have been ticked?
I'm sure they will come up with a way that we can
They're pros at that.
see it.
Something like that. I'm going to consult with our
Schematic.
GIS specialist
I'll
to see how best to do that.
Cause that would look a lot different than that one.
It'd be more of a point map too, because, we're not going to favor the large parcels. We're just going to show dots.
Barbara, do you have enough information to,
Proceed, yes.
okay, I know we're past our hour.
Yeah, thanks for your persevering. It was helpful.
No, I think we had to get into the weeds to figure out what we're really asking you to do. And I think that's the thing, is we know what we were envisioning, but we don't know how to make it work on the map
Yeah.
side.
No, this is helpful. So Sarah Labella, who's been working on this, has been out on medical leave for a little while. She'll be back in a couple of weeks, I guess, January 10th, she said. So what was your
Okay.
time frame? I mean, I could get someone else to jump in on that, or wait till she gets back and have her help.
No, this is not an urgent need, and I'd rather it, come together nicely, and if we need to take extra time since she started it, I'm fine waiting so that she can stay involved.
Yeah, I think she, she kind of gets it as much. I'd hate to have to try to explain this to someone else.
Right.
And Barbara, we can hop on a call with her, once she's back, if you think that would be helpful. But I mean, I also trust that you'll be able to pass on our requests.
Yeah, I mean, you and she can talk GIS together, but hopefully I can also translate your needs to GIS so she can run these calculations, which was the next step, but we kind of wanted to I think we're ready to do that, run the calculation as to how many acres of what are in each parcel so that we can do that yes, no, and
Yeah.
create the map. So that's really the next step, is to run those calculations.
Yeah, and see what it looks like.
Come
See if
up
we
with
can
the big
different ones.
spreadsheet and create the rate, the rating system factors like yes, no's, so then we'll have a column of yes, no's. Does it have this? Does it have this? Does it have this? And it'll be simpler, maybe like 5 things, 5 or, well, at forest, farmland, stream, vista, regulated features, steep slope. How many was that?
And then the more it has, the darker it'll be or something like that.
Something like that. We'll have a color code with number of features present. And
Yeah,
then,
I
you
think
can
that
have a map
does,
that you can click on and find out too. We do that. Do you have like a public GIS or like do you do that?
no, we just
right?
use the counties.
Mm-hmm.
but-
And we can work with them on that, but a yes, no for the rating system and see what they've got, but perfect. That's the next
Alright.
step.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
too. Have a
you
good
too.
holiday.
Merry
Have a great holiday season.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the new year.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be in touch. All right.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks,
Bye.
Barbara. Bye.